So this is the JBL Live Beam 3 and I've just realized that I've had these for about 9 months and I've not done a long-term review ever. So this is my quick sort of long-term report on these. Now honestly on a build front it's held up pretty well. I really do like the finish that they've chosen on this because it is like a matte finish, but it's not exactly, you know, like the powder coat stuff you see on budget earphone cases. This is like a proper matte finish. It's definitely very well done. It's very well finished. I've never used the lanyard option that it has. I like that it has it. I don't think it came with a lanyard in the box, but that would be a cool addition if they did bring that in. But overall, the overall finish on it is still, it's holding up pretty well. It has this little JBL Live Beam brand name on the hinge at the back, which does look quite cool, of course, and the USB-C charging here. But I found myself using the wireless charging for this with my phone that has reverse charge, because there are times where I do forget to charge it up. But having said that, it does last very long, so that's why I forget to plug it in. I don't regularly charge it, but when I have, it's usually a reverse charge to just top up the case so it can charge up the cells of the earphones. Moving on to the earphones, these are pretty comfortable. I found these to be very comfortable to wear even over longer listening sessions. I've not really had any discomfort with this. I mean, when I first saw the design, I thought it would be not too comfortable to wear, but you know, I've worn this for well over an hour and a half, and I usually don't like to have earphones on for more than half an hour, 45 minutes, but this has been comfortable, and I took it off because I had to go somewhere, not because it started feeling uncomfortable. So even on that front, I think they've done a very good job of making these quite comfortable to wear for longer listening sessions. The one thing I haven't liked is the finish on the earphones, because as you can see, it's very reflective. So I mean, there is this section here that is colored where the touch area is, that's fine, but the other parts of it that are reflective are just kind of too mirror-like. So they end up showing fingerprints, or if your fingers are greasy and you've touched it, it ends up showing that those markings. Not that you can't wipe them off, you can wipe them off, but it's usually I like to wipe them down before putting them in the case, because I don't like opening the case to see, you know, those grease marks or fingerprints on the stems. But yeah, I do wish they had stuck to a slightly different finish than this chrome-like finish for the earphones. Moving on to the features, everything you really need is in the app that you can customize, of course, but no doubt it does have that smart case, which is pretty cool. So you can do a lot of the stuff from there, but if you really want to fine tune stuff, you have to go into the app. So I'll throw up a screen recording of the app so you can see what I'm going through. So of course you can see the earphone battery life and the case as well, and you can toggle your ambient control, your active noise cancelling, ambient wear and talk through. Now the ANC is quite good, so much so I always leave it on the adaptive mode. That does function very well. The smart charging case, of course, has all these options that you can choose from, which is pretty cool. You can also do this, a certain amount of it from the case, which is pretty neat as well. Then of course, check my best fit is a cool way to make sure you've got the correct ear tip size, and the best ear tip size will obviously give you the best ANC experience as well as the best listening experience for sound, because lesser noise leak in and out is always better for music. And then you do have a personal sound amplification as well, which you can switch on if you want to hear something's boosted close by. Smart audio and video is for it to choose the best quality codec for smart audio, and video is for the quickest response time. Smart automation is the auto play and pause, which is quite cool. And the gesture controls as well. You can go into this and select stuff. Now JBL has always had this setup where these are the options you have for one specific thing. So for this case, it's left for custom gestures, ambient sound control. So if I switch this over to let's say volume control, I can only do volume control on this. And then when I go to the right, okay, let's say right is already on volume control. So let's move the left to ambient sound control. So basically I can't control my playback stuff right now because left is doing one thing and the right is doing something else. So you kind of need to figure out what is a priority to you. This is the only real negative with the gesture controls. Then moving on, voice prompts, of course, you can choose the language you want. And then when you go into audio, this I find cool because it does support high resolution audio, but at the same time, a lot of brands that have LDAC support do not mention the advantages or disadvantages with this. I like that they've done, because when you do hit this and you say on, there is this notification that pops up saying turn on high-res audio, and it says enable this feature. Enabling this feature will increase power consumption while making these features unavailable, which is personify, spatial sound, low volume EQ and leakage compensation. So it is at that, these things will take a hit, plus your battery life. So if you don't have high-res access, there is no point putting this on because it's just consuming data, or should I say energy for no reason. If you really want to listen to high-res audio, you need to have a proper source. You need to be willing to, take a hit with these other features as well. So it's really cool that JBL has mentioned this. Most other brands do not. Then, of course, you do have your equalizer option, which is self-explanatory. You've got all the different ones you can choose from. Of course, I usually like to play around with jazz if I am playing with EQ, but I like to have it off. I really do like how these sound out of the box. Then, of course, adaptive EQ and all is also pretty cool. You really have to get into it to enjoy it. Personify is personal sound sort of tuning. It does a test and it'll figure out what it needs to compensate for you. And then, of course, you got your left-right sound balance, max volume limiter, which I always recommend being on. And then in the call settings, you've got sound level optimizer. You've got all these things you can play around with: sound settings, voice aware feature to hear yourself now, and a private call mode where you can whisper into the mic. Now, these are the things that I have done tests of in the in-depth review. So I will leave that link down below. You can check that out as well if you want. These are pretty cool features and convenient to have. I mean, you don't have to use them, but if ever you do have it, which is pretty cool. And then something I really like, when you go to the others tab, it's got relaxed sound. So you can play, the sound of waves, nighttime, fireplace, forest and water running in a stream. Or you can just play one at a time or all at the same time and slide this to decide how long you want to play it for. So you can just wind down at the end of the day. You don't have to listen to media. You don't have to listen to music. You don't have to, scroll through some sort of app. So it's pretty cool that they've got this option because it's different. It disconnects you from, the hustle bustle and lets you sort of connect with nature through an electronic form, no doubt, but it's a cool way to really try and get you to disconnect. And then, of course, you get Find My Buds, so you can find them. And then power saving options, which is cool. And of course, your support. So it's on the latest software, of course, because I just did an update. I even did an update for the smart case as well, and it did take about maybe 5 to 10 minutes. But it was interesting to see that little red light flashing and that upload picture on the screen. So you do get regular updates for the earphones as well as the case. When it comes to its active noise cancelling, it is pretty good, I'd say, because I mean, I've not really found it to be bad. Nobody's really making bad ANC anymore. Gone are those days, and this is definitely a more premium product from JBL, and they've done a good job of it. Whooshing from fan blades, AC motors, fan motors, road noise from outside of my studio. I don't hear these things when I'm using this set of wireless earphones. There are some older iterations of active noise cancelling that let in these high frequency noises, but this does a pretty good job of it. And those same mics that help towards the active noise cancelling also help towards the environmental noise cancelling. And for phone calls, if I've been on any call, people have not had an issue with me speaking even in busy settings. So just for your reference, if you want to know how this will perform in a very busy setting, here's a quick demo to show you how it performs in a very busy place. So I'm calling from the usual busy street I do all of my call tests from, just to give you a sense of how much noise these earphones are going to be battling. And today somehow it's not as busy as it usually is. But there you go. Some trucks, three-wheelers and four-wheelers are behind me, of course, with some construction work that's going on over my left shoulder, which is never ending, of course. So no doubt, this is the worst kind of situation you're going to be in if you're going to take a call on a walk on a main road or something. But these do perform significantly better in a more controlled environment like an office or if you're at home. So if you are in this kind of setting, I have left the camera mic on all this time to give you the sense of the atmosphere and the noise around me. And I'll switch over to the Live Beam 3 microphone right about now. So this is the overall vocal tonality that will carry on over to your recipient. Now, there are a few call settings that you can play around with. You can play with vocal tone as well, which is pretty cool. And if you want to hear some of those samples, I have demonstrated that in the original in-depth review. So if you do want to watch that or listen to that, you can head on over there. I will leave that link down in the description below if you want to listen to that demo, of course. But overall, these are pretty good performers. Usually, when I've ever spoken to somebody, I've never really gotten any complaints. Even if I've gone on a walk and it's busy like this, usually everyone I've spoken to has always said that my voice coming through is pretty clear. But in this situation, you are the best judge for that. I mean, you are the recipient right now, so you are hearing what anyone who will call you will hear. So this is, of course, your decision to make whether or not it is appropriate for you or not. So I do hope that this call demo has given you a better understanding for the Live Beam 3 performance for phone calls. And of course, I'll see you back at the studio. I haven't really had issues when it comes to its battery life because I am not really a power user. I'm not listening to these earphones for 4 to 6 hours in one straight shot, and I wouldn't recommend anyone do that because your ears do need a break. So I myself usually do 30 to 40 minutes tops. Only if I'm really engrossed in watching a movie or something. Very rarely do I have it in for that 1.5 or 2 hours. Otherwise, I don't go over and above that. So this is very good at 2 hours. I mean, it's got a whole lot of battery left, unless of course you start listening to high-res audio, then it eats into a lot more battery. But I expect 8 to 10 hours from these if you listen to your audio below 50% volume. Good performance even now. But full disclosure here, I do not use these every single day. These are not my daily drivers. My wife has been using this on and off. I have been using it on and off. So I'm not really using it every single day because I'm testing so many other products. So usually only when I just want to go for a walk, I'll pick up some set of wireless earphones. So all of these are my observations based on that. So your experience may vary because I'm sure if you are watching this or planning on buying this, you're most likely going to be using it day in and day out for its entire life cycle. But I do expect these batteries to perform well in the long run because this is a premium product from JBL. It's not, you know, an entry level set. So the battery quality should definitely be very good. Moving on to the sound of these. Well, to be very honest with you, if I could describe this set of earphones in one word, it would be fun because it's got everything it needs. It's got a little bit of sparkle and shimmer in the highs where it needs to have, but it's not overly done. It's not trying to pierce your ear or cut through. The mids are a little bit recessed, yes, but I think it's the right amount. And I'm talking about the tuning straight out of the box with all EQs off. The lower frequencies are very prominent. In fact, I usually don't listen to EDM, but I was listening to a song called Alibi. I forget by who. It's a newish kind of song, at least compared to what I normally listen to. And there's a sub-low register that track hits that this has no effort reproducing. It really does a very good job of the entire spectrum. It is obviously based on some sort of a Harman curve, the entire tuning of this straight out of the box, but it is definitely a fun listen. There are some earphones that usually have a little too much bass. They're overpowering, so you miss out on a whole bunch of detail in the highs and mids. This is not like that. It is, I'd say, I don't want to call it a safe tuning. It's not, because they are managing to reach the limits of giving you lower frequencies to such a high level where it's really enjoyable, but at the same time without eating into your details in the high and mid frequencies. So the tuning is definitely very tastefully done. No doubt you can get into it and tweak it with the presets available and as well as the manual EQ settings. And if you do want to know how to tweak this, I'll leave another link down in the description as to how to tune your earphones with the JBL app, in fact, because it's more than capable. It's just that a lot of people don't really know how to tune their earphones. So you can check that out, of course, if you'd like to. But yeah, overall on the sound front, it's been very enjoyable to listen to. Whether I've thrown, 80s music, 90s music, pop stuff, rock, metal, classical, it's always been fun. The classical usually does leave me a little wanting. These, I wouldn't say, are really cut out for classical music, for strings and reeded instruments and horns. It's more for, get up and go music. It's not for the subtle stuff. It's more for the get up and go. So if you really want something that sounds like that kind of fun for your workouts, for your walks, whatever, this I think is a really nice set of earphones with the added benefit of having your touchscreen controls right there on the case, so you don't have to whip out your phone and do everything. And that's actually a feature that I've been using a lot myself over the last few months whenever I've used it, and I find it a little more convenient than taking out my phone, because when I take out my phone I keep getting worried that I'm going to drop it somewhere and it's going to get banged up and all that sort of stuff. Taking out the case is easier. It's easier to hold. It doesn't feel like it's going to slip out of my hand by accident if somebody knocks my hand. It's light enough, easy enough to hold, and it's got a large enough screen to really play around with. So after all this time, would I still recommend it? Well, I'd say absolutely yes. If you do have the budget for it, it makes a lot of sense to pick up. Now, it does have a very high MRP of about almost 25,000 rupees, but it is available for about 14,999, and you can get 3 different colors. There is a black, there is a blue, and there is a silver variant. So you can, of course, go and check these out. I will leave the price in dollars as well if you are watching this video from abroad. But yeah, I'd say it's super value for money at this price. And usually I found that at least the other JBL products I've reviewed that are above the 8,000-10,000 price mark, they are definitely long-term products. I have not really heard of people having issues for battery or charging issues and all that sort of stuff. At this price point, I have heard, to be very honest, at lower price points. You know, a lot of the entry-level stuff does have some issues in some cases, or they have been known to have issues, but nothing over the 8 to 10 price range. So of course, if you do like the brand, if you do like the sound, and you do have that confidence that you do trust the brand, I'd say on a sound front as well, it's great fun and it's loaded with features and is super value for money if you do have the budget, of course. So there you have it. That's my quick long-term report on the Live Beam 3, and I do hope that will help you make some sort of purchase decision and giving you a better understanding of these earphones. If you would like to support the channel, I'm sure you know exactly how to. But of course, thank you for tuning in for some sound advice.